top of the day, beautiful people. Top of the day. Tiffany, hey girl, hey. Salubuna. The twabu. All right, beautiful people. Let's go ahead and get this started. It is Sunday. Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday. It is day 267 of reading through the books of the law and the prophets, also known as the Old Testament. It is I just said that year 2. Oh yeah, I get my thoughts together. There's so much. I'm trying to stay on track today. Day 630 of the 2-year consecutive count. Okay, y'all. I ain't gonna get off in too many stories today. At least I don't think. I think I'm gonna just read it right through. But today is Proverbs 28, 29, and 30. And because 31 is the last chapter, we're gonna go ahead and put that in. So we're doing 4 chapters today, finishing up the book of Proverbs, and then we will complete the Old Testament with the book of Psalms. And that will vary from day to day, the chapters that we read, because some are really short and some are really long. But we will keep to, as a basis, at least 3 through the book of Psalms. But the short chapters, we may read 5 because a couple of them are really, really short, and it's only going to take like another minute or 2 to get through them, So just like we did last time, we're going to follow the same process. All right, y'all. Proverbs chapter 28. The wicked run away when no one is chasing them, but the godly are as bold as lions. When there is moral rot within a nation, its government topples easily, but wise and knowledgeable leaders bring stability. A poor person who oppresses the poor is like a pounding rain that destroys the crops. I'm sorry, I know I'm going to need some water. I left my water bottle upstairs. Okay. A poor person who oppresses the poor is like a pounding rain that destroys the crops. To reject the law is to praise the wicked. To obey the law is to fight them. Evil people don't understand justice, but those who follow Yahuwah understand completely. Better to be poor and honest than to be dishonest and rich. Young people who obey the law are wise. Those with wild friends bring shame to their parents. Income from charging high interest rates will end up in the pocket of someone who is kind to the poor. Yahuwah detests the prayers of a person who ignores the law. Those who lead good people along an evil path will fall into their own trap, but the honest will inherit good things. Rich people may think they are wise, but a poor man with discernment can see right through them. When the godly succeed, everyone is glad. When the wicked take charge, people go into hiding. People who conceal their sins will not prosper, but if they confess and turn from them, they will receive mercy. Blessed are those who fear to do wrong, but the stubborn are headed for serious trouble. A wicked ruler is as dangerous to the poor as a roaring lion or an attacking bear. Okay. Real quick, something that I learned last night, simply because it brought up lion, right? Verse 15. Okay, y'all know the Sphinx. I think I said it right. The Sphinx or the Sphinx. It's like in Egypt, it's like the body of a lion, but the head of a man. They put like an Egyptian man with the gold tee. That's what the Sphinx is, right? If y'all don't know what it is, I'll put a picture up there. But do you know what the Sphinx actually represented? Blew my mind. Okay. So, we are so, we are so far removed here, our people, we're so far removed from the knowledge that we had of nature and how remember how I say everything that Yah has done, it can be proven in nature? Let me tell you something. Even earlier, let's call them ancient, you get what I'm saying, many generations before, right? Before we went into captivity, and the civilization that they had back then, they were really advanced. We may have some better technology now, but they were really advanced. Remember, they created the calendars based on nature and everything. Remember, that's how, we getting back on a proper time clock, like according to the book of Enoch. Okay, so I said all of that because they realized, and there's a difference between the way the Western culture teaches us about nature and the way that our people understood nature and interacted with it, and the way we taught back then. We taught about nature because we are a part of nature. We come from nature. Remember, Yahuwah created man from the dust of the earth and his breath. So we are comprised of earth and the breath of Yah, the intellect of Yah, right? So literally, some people might go off the deep end when I say this, but like the earth is literally our mother. Our mother. Don't stay with me. Simply because we're taken from the dust of the earth, right? And Yahuwah's breath, his intellect, gives us life. Okay, so they realized how we interacted with nature, and even the study of the animals and everything, and the process of life, and even gardening and how things grow. They realized we were all intertwined together. So that's how we taught about it, and that's how we were our people were very knowledgeable and were able to do a lot of things. Even with the concept, okay, these are two different things. You hear about voodoo and hoodoo. Okay, voodoo, which is actually comes from Vodun or Vodun, is one of the ways you pronounce it. But that was actually voodoo is actually the one you stay away from, the witchcraft and all that stuff. But hoodoo, they gave the name hoodoo. They try and put these terms on stuff to keep you away from all this witchcraft. Oh, no. Hoodoo, they gave it the name hoodoo, but it was actually the study of nature and the master herbalists and chemists and stuff like that, right? So you have like master herbalists like Dr. Sabian and Yaki Awaken and different ones, right? So they will call that hoodoo, right? Not voodoo. Voodoo is when they put in like actually casting spells on people. So just in case you didn't understand, but that's the difference. Hoodoo is actually the practice of natural medicine, but they put a scary term on it, told you to stay away from it, simply because our people understood it so well that when they began to enslave us over that period of time, beginning in probably a little bit before 1619, but the prophecies actually began, that's when Judah started going into captivity. But during that time, as they were bringing our people over, because we were skilled in like the natural things, that some of them would actually begin to poison the taskmasters, right? So they outlawed it, and anybody got caught practicing natural medicine, so to speak, they would be beat really bad or killed, so over time it's got a few different names, and they put like a boogeyman in front of the door, but it's really like us going back to nature and understanding what works for our body, what doesn't, the herbs that Yah has given us for the healing of the nations for our bodies. That's what that was. But they also took it, and they were intrigued by, although our people were really, really smart, they were being killed by it, but they were also intrigued by it. They wanted to learn it. So they actually had some of us, they learned some of the customs. They kind of befriended them to learn it, so to speak. But so they took it so they could actually use it and begin healing their own people, because they didn't really trust us for real, because they didn't know if they would end up being poisoned anyway. But Twabu, Alicia, but Twabu. So that's the difference between voodoo and hoodoo. Okay, so I said all that to say, when I read Lion, I learned about the Sphinx last night and what the Sphinx actually represented. Of course, Illuminati, different things, pyramids and stuff. No, bruh, just calm down. Learn about nature. Remember, everything they did was based on what they saw in nature, how interrelated, and how they acted together, right? Okay, so this was pretty freaking amazing. I wish I had wrote the exact quote down so I can actually read it to you. It's in my book upstairs. But what I'll do, I'll type it out when we're done so you can read the little blurb or whatever. But I'll put the name of the book. But anyway, what the Sphinx, getting to the point, what the Sphinx actually represented, it's the how to word it? I'm putting my own words. The Sphinx actually represents having control over the fleshly nature. Remember, it had a lion. Remember, lions are ferocious. They're animals, which they related the lion to the flesh and how the flesh could get out of control. Like, if you don't keep control over this, your mouth can run amok. You get yourself addicted to things. And now, instead of being led by this and wisdom, now your flesh actually leads you and causes you to do things, whether it's your sexual appetite getting out of control or your cravings, whether it's for cigarettes, alcohol, any kind of hardcore drugs, anything that you could be, that a human can become addicted to. That's what it represented. That lion represented the animal, beastly nature of the flesh, if not controlled. But they put a human head on it, representing the intellect and the wisdom of man. And when the human head sits on the lion, the human, you are in control of your flesh. So that's what that meant. The lion with the human head sitting on top of it represents you being in control of your fleshly nature. I'm like, he completely blew my mind. So I want to throw that in there because it mentioned lion, and I remember what I was reading as I was studying last night. So if you ever see a Sphinx, I'll look at the Sphinx totally different now, but I just thought that was amazing. And okay, so I'll read verse 15 again, and I'll keep going. A wicked ruler is as dangerous to the poor as a roaring lion or an attacking bear. Yes. No, close that up. We just had this conversation. A ruler with no understanding will oppress his people, but one who hates corruption will have a long life. A murderer's tormented conscience will drive him to the grave. Don't protect him. The blameless will be rescued from harm, but the crooked will be suddenly destroyed. A hard worker has plenty of food, but a person who chases fantasies end up in poverty. Okay, Trina. The trustworthy person will get a rich reward, but a person who wants quick riches will get into trouble. Showing partiality is never good, yet some will do wrong for a mere piece of bread. Greedy people will try to get rich, but don't realize that they're headed for poverty. In the end, people appreciate honest criticism far more than flattery. Anyone who steals from his father and his mother says, "What's wrong with that?" It is no better than a murderer. I'll read that again. Anyone who steals from his father and mother and says, "What's wrong with that?" is no better than a murderer. Greed causes fighting. Trusting Yahuwah leads to prosperity. Those who trust in their own sight are foolish, but anyone who walks in wisdom is safe. Whoever gives to the poor will lack nothing, but those who close their eyes to poverty will be cursed. When the wicked take charge, people go into hiding. When the wicked meet disaster, the godly flourish. Proverbs chapter 29. Whoever stubbornly refuses to accept criticism will suddenly be destroyed beyond recovery. When the godly are in authority, When the godly are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked are in power, they groan. The man who loves wisdom brings joy to his father, but if he hangs around with prostitutes, his wealth is wasted. A just king gives stability to his nation, but one who demands bribes destroys it. To flatter friends is to lay a trap for their feet. Evil people are trapped by sin, but the righteous escape, shouting for joy. The godly care about the rights of the poor. The wicked don't care at all. Mockers can get a whole town agitated, but the wise will calm anger. If a wise person takes a fool to court, there will be ranting and ridicule, but no satisfaction. The bloodthirsty hate blameless people, but the upright seek to help them. Fools vent their anger, but the wise quietly hold it back. If a ruler pays attention to liars, all his advisors will be wicked. The poor and the oppressor have this in common. Yahuwah gives sight to the eyes of them both. If a king judges the poor fairly, his throne will last forever. To discipline a child produces wisdom, but a mother is disgraced by an undisciplined child. When the wicked are in authority, sin flourishes, but the godly will live to see their downfall. Discipline your children, and they will give you peace of mind and will make your heart glad. When people do not accept divine guidance, they run wild, but whoever obeys the law is joyful. Words alone will not discipline a servant. The words may be understood, but they are not heeded. There is far more hope for a fool than for someone who speaks without thinking. A servant pampered from childhood will become a rebel. An angry person starts fights. A hot-tempered person commits all kinds of sin. Pride ends in humiliation, while humility brings honor. If you assist a thief, you will only hurt yourself. You are sworn to tell the truth, but you dare not testify. Fearing people is a dangerous trap, but trusting Yahuwah means safety. Many seek the ruler's favor, but justice comes from Yahuwah. The righteous despise the unjust. The wicked despise the godly. All right, y'all. Proverbs chapter 30. The sayings of Agur, son of Jackie, contain this message. I am weary, O Yah. I am weary and worn out, O Yah. I am too stupid to be human, and I lack common sense. I have not mastered human wisdom, nor do I know the Holy One. But Yahuwah goes up to heaven and comes... Who but Yah goes up to heaven and comes back down? Who holds the wind in his fist? Who wraps the ocean in his cloak? Who has created the whole wide world? What is his name and his son's name? Tell me if you know. Every word of Yah proves true. He is a shield to all those who come to him for protection. Let's just go back up real quick to the end of verse 4 where it says, what is his name and what is his son's name? Tell me if you know. Okay, so if you don't know, the creator of heaven and earth, his name is Yah, Yahuwah. And his son's name, Yah says out of his own mouth all through the Old Testament who his son is. So remember, who is his son? Who is God's son? Yahuwah said his son is Israel, meaning the entire nation of people who descend from Jacob. He said that's who his son is. Remember, and when he uses son, it's plural. And you can tell simply just by reading through it, because he'll say son, then he'll interpret what he means by son in every place that he uses it. And it's always meaning a nation of people. Even in Daniel's dreams, who is this one who looks like the Son of Man? And if you go down when it gives the interpretation of the dream, it explains that these are the sons and daughters of Israel, the saints, the holy ones, right? Okay. It said, tell me if you know, so I figured we better go and address that real quick. Verse 5 again. Matter of fact, I'll read 4 again. Who but Yah goes up to heaven and comes back down? Who holds the wind in his fist? Who wraps up the oceans in his cloak? Who has created the whole wide world? What is his name? And what is his son's name? Tell me if you know. Every word of Yah proves true. He is a shield to all who come to him for protection. Do not add to his words, or he may rebuke you and expose you as a liar. O Yah, I beg 2 favors from you. Let me have them before I die. First, help me never to tell a lie. Second, give me neither poverty nor riches. Just give me enough to satisfy my needs. For if I grow rich, I may deny you and say, who is Yah? And if I am too poor, I may steal and thus insult your holy name. Never slander a worker to the employer, or the person will curse you and you will pay for it. Some people curse their father and do not thank their mother. They are pure in their own eyes, but they are filthy and unwashed. They look proudly around, casting disdainful glances. They have teeth like swords and fangs like knives. They devour the poor from the earth and the needy from among humanity. The leech has 2 suckers that cry out, more, more. There are 3 things that are never satisfied. No, 4 that never say enough. The grave, the barren womb, the thirsty desert, the blazing fire. The eye that mocks a father and despises a mother's instruction will be plucked out by ravens of the valley and eaten by vultures. There are 3 things that amaze me. No, 4 things that I do not understand. How an eagle glides through the sky, how a snake slithers on a rock, how a ship navigates the ocean, how a man loves a woman. An adulterous woman consumes a man, then wipes her mouth and says, "What's wrong with that?" There are 3 things that make the earth to tremble. No. 4 it cannot endure. A slave who becomes a king, an overbearing fool who prospers, a bitter woman who finally gets a husband, and a servant girl who supplants her mistress. There are 4 things on earth that are small but unusually wise. Ants. They aren't strong, but they store up food all summer. Hyraxes. They aren't powerful, but they make their homes among the rocks. Locusts. They have no king, but they march in formation. Lizards. They are easy to catch, but they are found even in kings' palaces. There are 3 things that walk with stately stride. No. 4 that strut about. The lion, king of animals who won't turn aside for anything. The strutting rooster, the male goat, and the king as he leads his army. If you have been a fool by being proud or plotting evil, cover your mouth in shame. As the beating of cream yields butter, and striking the nose causes bleeding, so stirring up anger causes quarrels. Last chapter for the day, y'all. Proverbs chapter 31. The sayings of King Lemuel contain this message which his mother taught him. O my son, O son of my womb, O son of my vows, do not waste your strength on women, on those who ruin kings. It is not for kings, O Lemuel, to guzzle wine. Rulers should not crave alcohol, for if they drink, they may forget the law and not give justice to the oppressed. Alcohol is for the dying, and wine for those in bitter distress. Let them drink to forget their poverty and remember their troubles no more. Speak up for those who cannot speak for themselves. Ensure justice for those being crushed. Yes, speak up for the poor and helpless, and see that they get justice. Who can find a virtuous and capable wife? She is more precious than rubies. Her husband can trust her, and she will greatly enrich his life. She brings him good, not harm, all the days of her life. She finds wool and flax and busily spins it. She is like a merchant's ship, bringing her food from afar. She gets up before dawn to prepare breakfast for her household and plan the day's work for her servant girls. She goes to inspect a field and buys it. With her earnings, she plants a vineyard. She is energetic and strong, a hard worker. She makes sure her dealings are profitable. Her lamp burns late into the night. Her hands are busy spinning thread, her fingers twisting fiber. She extends a helping hand to the poor and opens her arms to the needy. She has no fear of winter for her household, for everyone has warm clothes. She makes her own bedspreads. She dresses in fine linen and purple gowns. Her husband is well known at the city gates, where he sits with the other civic leaders. She makes belted linen garments and sachets to sell to the merchants. She is clothed with strength and dignity, and she laughs without fear of the future. When she speaks, her words are wise, and she gives instructions with kindness. She carefully watches everything in her household and suffers nothing from laziness. We clearly understand that this woman is a businesswoman. She got a lot going on. She has employees. She got businesses and land that she looks after. And she also takes full care of her family, right? I'll read this again. She is clothed with strength and dignity, and she laughs without fear of the future. When she speaks, her words are wise, and she gives instructions with kindness. She watches carefully everything in her household and suffers nothing from laziness. Her children stand and bless her. Her husband praises her. There are many virtuous and capable women in the world, but you surpass them all. Charm is deceptive, and beauty does not last, but a woman who fears Yah will be greatly praised. Reward her for all she has done, and let her deeds publicly declare her praise. All right, beautiful people. That was our reading for today. I pretty much stayed on track, except for giving you the, I ain't gonna say except, but I gave you the what the interpretation of the building of the Sphinx and what it represented. Like I said, I'm gonna put the book down there so you can see what it is. It's really, really good book. It really, really is. The cover of it may throw some people off, and they may be something like, if you are spooked. Let me just say this: if you are spooked by the talk of the third eye, remember, in the church world, the third eye, the way they talk about the third eye, is the terminology is seeing in the spiritual realm, but it's the same exact thing. But it's open legally through Yah as you study and you grow closer to Him, right? Okay, so the cover of the book has a picture of a man, and you can kind of see that, but it's in like a triangle. But what you will see right here, where your pineal gland, remember, everyone has a pineal gland. They call it if you look in science and research it a little bit, they'll call the pineal gland the God gene, right? Because they realize that this particular thing inside of every human head, the pineal gland, which is by the pituitary gland, they realize that this is almost like the source of dreams and visions. That is scientific proof. Even you see the drawing of like the third eye and the eye of Horus. If you look at the eye of Horus and you cut open and get a picture of a brain, the eye of Horus is simply a picture of inside of the brain. It's the pituitary, the pineal gland. That's what the eye of Horus is. So it's talking about the same thing. Like I said, different cultures talk about different things. I ain't talking about getting off into the deep end when you conjuring spirits. That is not what I'm talking about, people. But I'm showing you how they made a connection with everything in nature and in our human bodies, and how we are literally connected to nature and connected to Yah. Remember, we were created from the dust of the earth, and Yahuwah breathed His breath, His intellect into us, and they were making the connections. And what they did, the symbols and stuff that they use, come from nature, or they come from our bodies within inside of us, something that we can't see just by looking at somebody. But when the surgeon or the doctor cuts the body open, or they take x-rays, you'll realize that these symbols that they have is literally something they took from the inside of the body. Now, here's what's going to blow your mind. Well, they probably did. They probably had surgeons. They probably called them something else. But how did they know that the inside of the brain looked that way? I'm sure at some point in time. Now, how did they know that it is that particular, the pineal gland? How did they know that wisdom and intellect and dreams and visions come from that particular place? How did they know that back then? Because they had the wisdom of Yah flowing through them even back then. Science today, what we see is proving what they already knew, so don't get super spooky spiritual on a sister, just do some research. It's common knowledge now. It really is. But the way they teach you in church a lot of times is, that's of the devil. Y'all are dumb. No, it's not. It's literally your body. Just open up your child's science book, and as it gets into the anatomy and physiology of the human body, you can literally see it. Now, I will say, like I said before, some people do go off the deep end with it and start conjuring. We're not talking about that. We're just simply talking about basic stuff, right? Okay, so I'll put a picture of that book. I was saying all that, don't get freaked out by that, but it doesn't have like the pineal gland. It literally has a book sitting right here, like right here on the picture. It's a picture of a outline of a body, and it has a book right here in the forehead with the pineal gland, or I said it, the pineal gland, or the third eye, or the place where you can see into the spiritual realm is right there. But they also notice that if you feed your body a bunch of junk and this calcifies, like fluoride calcifies, that's why you shouldn't get fluoride treatments. Never give your children fluoride treatments. All the junk and processed food, everything that you shouldn't be eating, it calcifies this, and you find it hard, and people become spiritually dumb, like they can't hear or see anything. And if that's the case, and if you see somebody who is really just like, bruh, you might have some mental issues going on, 9 times, I probably want to say 10 times out of 10, their pineal gland on the inside of their body needs to be decalcified. It's probably crusted over. Like, seriously, that is not a lie. It probably has some damage done to it, and you need to cleanse your body. You'll notice anybody who began eating plant-based diet and cleaning themselves up, you will notice that you become spiritually sensitive to the world around you. Some people actually begin to see into the spiritual realm. They have more dreams and visions. Why? Because we are literally connected to the earth. Everything that happens, I'll just say this, the higher ups, those in charge of some things, they understand this and they use it to manipulate people. Everybody out there is not for your good, because if you get control of this, if you're able to control this beast in you with understanding what's going on and with the spirit of Yah freely flowing through you, imagine what you could be and what you could do in this world, how Yah could use you. All right, so I'll post that book there. So let's go ahead to Numbers chapter 6. And we'll go ahead and do this blessing. All right, y'all. And y'all know what's in the first 21 verses. And Yahuwah spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto Aaron and unto his sons, saying, On this wise ye shall bless the children of Israel, saying unto them, May Yahuwah bless us and keep us. May Yahuwah make his face to shine upon us and be gracious unto us. May Yahuwah lift up his countenance upon us and give us his peace. And they shall put my name upon the children of Israel, and I will bless them. All right, beautiful people. Continue to enjoy this, the Festival of Tabernacles, booths, shelters, Sukkot, whatever you want to call it. We dwell in tents during this time, being reminded that when Yahuwah brought our ancestors out of the bondage and slavery of Egypt, we dwelt in tents around his presence. So this is a memorial feast now. He said this should be celebrated in all generations, from generation to generation, forever. And we're another generation, and forever hasn't come yet. Forever is infinity. Like, it doesn't end. Like, every year we're to do this to remember what he's done for us. All right, y'all. I love you. I'm out here. See you bright and early tomorrow morning, Monday morning, 7:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right, beautiful people. Peace.